Okay. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, though.
I don't know.
So, last class, and yesterday was my last Rotary meeting of the year. Next Rotary meeting, I'll be taking over as president. I'm nervous about that. But so, of course, yesterday was Fry the Lawyer Day at Rotary. So I learned a few new ones I hadn't heard before. How do you make a group of lawyers smile for a photograph? You have them all say, fees.
Yeah.
What did the lawyer name his daughter? Sue. How come there's no Irish lawyers? They can't pass a bar. And then probably one of my personal favorites, why are lawyers unable to practice birth control? Is they have too much trouble rolling the condom down over their heads. But it's okay. But it's okay because lawyers have an alternate form of birth control that's even more effective, and that's their personalities.
Yeah.
And then my last favorite is, what's the difference between a porcupine and a BMW full of lawyers?
I know.
Yeah. With a porcupine, all the pricks are on the outside. So, a little bit of fun to start. But the reason why I started with that is because it's a great segue into I love you guys. I really do think you might be the best class ever. And I want to give you things, and I don't have a whole lot to give you, but I do have a few things that I feel are really valuable, and two of them are related to my first year of practicing law. Two really incredibly lucky little things happened to me in my first year of practicing law that changed my life. And the first one was I'm a brand new lawyer at this big business law firm, and they have this hotshot trial lawyer, and he's going down to a city in Southern Oregon. What's that city down there in Southern Oregon? No.
Bedford.
No. Anyway, I can't remember the city, but we're driving down from Eugene, where our office is, to this city in Southern Oregon for this little trial. It's a dispute between two property owners, and he wants me to go and kind of second chair him. Basically, I carry his briefcase because I don't know anything about the case, so, but he's going to win, and so he wants to show off, and so he's going to bring me. So we go down there, we do the trial, and he wins, but there are certain types of cases, the law varies on whether or not when you win a lawsuit, you also get awarded attorney's fees. And there are some cases that say, no matter what, win or lose, no award of attorney's fees. And there's some cases that say, if you win, the court must award you attorney's fees. And then in the middle, there are these cases that say, it's up to the discretion of the judge whether or not he wants to award the attorney's fees. So this guy won the case, but the judge said, I don't like either one of you guys. I'm not awarding any attorney's fees. And so all the way back from Southern Oregon up to Eugene, I'm riding in this car with this guy who's acting like a maniac. He is swearing, he is pounding on his dashboard of his car, and he's driving. And I'm afraid the radio's gonna fall out, and he's swearing, and it's like, I don't understand, you won. Yeah, but I didn't get the attorney's fees, and it's gonna be thousands of dollars my client's gonna pay. And maybe if I had just put enough emphasis on the issue of the attorney's fees, maybe we would have gotten that too. So he's mad at himself. He's feeling like he didn't do everything he could have done. And then he makes this little speech, kind of changed my life. He said, you probably think that the difference between an ordinary or mediocre lawyer and a great lawyer is 50 to 30%, The mediocre lawyer does like 50% of all the work he has to do to prep the case and finish the project, whatever it is. And the really great lawyer does 95 or 100%. This is not true. This is every lawyer wants to win with all their heart and soul, and they all do maybe 95% of what it takes to finish the project, to win the case. The other lawyers that are great, they do the 2 or 3% more to do everything, to finish the case, to win the case, to finish the project. It's only 2 or 3% difference between a good or average lawyer and a great lawyer. And I have found that to be true, not only with the practice of law, but pretty much with every other aspect of business and life. There's good people and average people, and they're going to do what's required to get by, or what they have to do. And then there's great people. And as Wallace, I can't remember Wallace's full name, the guy that wrote The Science of Getting Rich, as he writes in that book, what's his name, Watts or Wallace? Anyway, he says, one of the 4 or 5 characteristics of people who get incredibly wealthy and are successful is they always give just a little bit more than what other people are expecting from them. So that's one gift I can give you today, is that story. But embrace paradox. So on the one hand, you need to be a guy that's, up there hitting that last 2 or 3%, giving it everything you've got. But on the other hand, the same year, I was asked to go and attend the retirement ceremony for an old judge who was retiring. And this old judge got up there and he said something that changed my life too. He said, all you lawyers that are down there working in your office 15, 16 hours a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week, and you think that the whole world will come to an end if you're not there putting in all this time and getting all this work done. He said, this is what I want you all to do tonight. This is your assignment, your last assignment from the judge. It's a court order. He says, all of you go home tonight and fill up a bucket with water. Then stick your finger in the water there and then pull it out. And the size of the hole that your finger leaves in the surface of the water, that's how much you're going to be missed when you're gone. And his point was, we are all replaceable. Don't give your whole life to your career. Find the balance. Spend time with your family and your kids and your loved ones. It's a paradox, okay? So embrace the paradox. So those 2 things I want to give you, and then I want to finish up with the 5 superpowers I want to give you. And then I have a last thing. I got to give you something now. So here's one of my toy pins, and every 3rd time you push this, it lights up, and there's a little thing on it that says, you have to take the little plastic cap off the top. It says, let your light shine. So I hope you'll all let your light shine. So I gave you something. It isn't worth much, but it's something. But with the superpowers, remember the first one we covered in the last class was intention. If you are clear on what your intention is, everything else will begin to fall into line. In fact, the world will even begin to fall into line because the whole world stands aside for the person who knows where they're going. The other thing about intention, though, is you got to get it clear in your heart that although you may be an imperfect human being and sometimes you do cruel and evil and mean and nasty stuff like every human being, and you make mistakes like every human being, overall, your intention is to do good in the world. You have good intentions. You're basically a good person, and you have good intentions. And so to maintain that state of mind, one of the things you got to get into is a regular practice of self-forgiveness. Okay, I screwed up. I forgive you for that. I forgive you, Bob, fully and finally and forever, and we're going to move on from here. So maintenance on your intention. The second thing we talked about, though, really important, is goals. Goal setting and knowing what a goal is and having the courage to declare goals and hopefully to declare them publicly. So a goal is a statement. If you look at what your intention, what your big goal is, I want to have a PhD in, business, okay? So, but, that's overwhelming to look at that. But it's just like that old saying, the way that you eat an elephant is 1 spoon at a time. And the longest journey begins with 1 step. So you pick something that's a step in the direction of your big goal, and you set a smaller goal, and you say, by such and such a date, I'm going to accomplish this. Now, a goal should be very specific. This is exactly how it's supposed to look. And It should be by a certain deadline, and it should have some kind of measurable result. You know, it's not like my goal is to be happy next year. My goal is to be happy because I spent a week on the beach in Maui, and I'm going to get that done by August of 2024. That's a goal, see? Very specific, measurable result. Either you succeeded or you didn't succeed. And if you don't succeed, okay, cool. You learned a bunch of stuff, you know, and you can try something else or you can try again. One last thing about the goal, though, doesn't mean a whole lot if you just set it for yourself. When it begins to really get your juices flowing is when you declare it to someone else. So my assertion is goals should be published. You know, it doesn't have to be to the whole group like this, but at least to one other person that you really respect or you love, you know. Okay, I'm going to Maui by August of next year. So that's it on goals. So then we get to the new stuff for today. And the first one is the power of commitment, okay? Every day we come here, you guys pass that rock and you say, and I'm all in. And sometimes you really are all in, and sometimes you're not, but at least we get you to say it, usually. But did you ever notice how much resistance you have to saying that sometimes? There's something built into us, some kind of safety thing. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's related to that amygdala thing we talked about. But there's a piece of us that always wants to hold back just a little bit. And the problem with achieving major goals in life is that you really can't play the game that way and win. Once you set a goal and it's important to you, you've got to play the game of life as if there is no one else on earth that's responsible for making that happen but you. If it is to be, it is up to me. No excuses, no blaming it on anybody else, no waiting for anybody else to make any part of it happen. It is all up to you. Now, that's not true. A lot of times it's up to government regulators and all kinds of people. But you must live your life as if it is to be, it is up to me. And that way you're looking, okay, what do I have to do or what can I do to advance this project? So you have to live your life as if it is to be, it is up to me, accept full-on 100% personal responsibility for making that one thing happen. And play the game of life as if your life depends upon whether or not you achieve this goal. Now, does your life depend on whether or not you achieve that goal? No. But does your life depend upon whether or not you play the game as if your life depends on it? Yeah, it does. Your life really does depend upon to what extent are you willing to engage and play the game, okay? So there's a superpower in commitment. Once you have chosen a goal, you say, whatever it takes, I'm going there. Whatever it takes for me, within the law, I'm going there. Whatever it takes. If it is to be, it's up to me. That is the power of commitment. Okay, so then the next superpower is really kind of interesting and kind of different because, and the easiest way to express it is Zig Ziglar's famous quote, the best way for you to get what you want out of life is to help other people get what they want. And it really is true. You kind of got to be watching out here. Okay, so what is your goal? What's your goal? What's going on in your life? What do you really need right now? How can I help you? In fact, let me throw this in. This wasn't on my plan, but it's one of those intuitive things I'm supposed to say. It's a long story, and I'll cut it real short. But I was on a military trip with a guy, and we were talking in the vehicle riding up to this mountaintop radar site. And the weird part of the story is I didn't find this out until years later, but this guy was the undercover shrink that was there to monitor. We were doing this top secret project, and he was there to kind of keep tabs on all of us to make sure we were stable enough to be working on this top secret project. I didn't know that. I thought he was just another one of radar, guys like me. So we're riding up there, and he's asking me all these questions about my life and my family and this and that. And he asked me something about my religious beliefs. And I said, I was young, and I said, you know, I tried all these different churches. I went to all kinds of churches, and none of them provided me with the belief or the faith that I felt like I needed. So right now I'm really not going to any church. Just none of the churches seem to meet my needs for my faith. And this guy said, I'll tell you what I'm going to ask you to do something. I said, well, what? I'm not really all that interested. I'm not going to church. I'm a busy young guy, young officer in the military. He says, the very next church you go to, it doesn't matter what church it is, when you walk in the door of that church, instead of asking, what is this church going to provide for me? Is this church going to provide me with my faith? You ask this question. You ask, how can I be of service here? How can I make a difference here? How can I help? So it was a couple years later, I walked into the Sierra Presbyterian Church up in Nevada City, and when I walked in the door, I said to the guy who came to greet me, I said, I'm really interested in how I can help here, how I can make a difference, how can I help? And the guy looked at me like this, and he said, come this way, I'm going to introduce you to everybody. And the next thing I knew, I was like a deacon and an elder, and thinking about going to a seminar, and just filled with excitement and faith and opportunity. But the difference was, how can I go out to try to help somebody else, and that's when the karma or whatever it is comes back to you, and you get incredible benefits. I have time. I'm going to tell you one more quick story. I told this one to my granddaughter in the car Saturday. We went together to a Rotary social event. But I told her, I said, when I first started teaching law at Sierra College, I walked in this room, and it's all these kids the same age as my kids who just all left me for college. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to do everything I can for these kids to have them succeed, and maybe somebody else will do that for my kids. So I said, well, I'm going to go around, and I'm going to do these 10 or 15-minute interviews with all the most successful business people that I know, and ask them what are their secrets, what do the young people need to know. And I learned more about business from talking to these guys for 15 minutes than I had in the last 20 or 30 years of practicing law. It was incredible what I learned. In fact, I think next year I'm going to try to start playing some of those tapes in here. But Robert Frew, no, not him, I'm sorry. Don Whitaker is the owner of Ceronics, the big electronics plant out there. I think you guys toured out there. So I did an interview with him, and while he was talking, he said, yeah, Robert Frew is my financial planner, and he's got his office right over, at that time he had his office right there at Ceronics, and he says, and he's done real well for us. So Robert Frew was in my Rotary Club too, so I said, Robert, I'm not a rich guy like Don, but would you manage my money for me, my investments? And he said, sure, okay. I have made a buttload of money. I'm sorry, I'm crude sometimes, but Robert Frew made me a lot of money because I found out about him from Don because I was trying to help the college kids. And that's how it works, you see. So look to see what other people's goals are and do what you can to help them, and it turns out to be a superpower for you. Now, the last superpower, I like to do an exercise on this one. I don't know. Would you be willing to do this with me? Okay. Come on up here and just stand right here, okay? Now, would you help us?
Sure.
Come up? Okay. Now, I'm going to get out of the way, and you just stand here and you face him, okay?
Are we crestfallen?
No, you face her. No. I used to be a personal injury lawyer. I don't do that one. Okay. It might come a little bit closer, a step. Okay, that's cool. Now, it's a game we're going to play, and you're the player, okay? You're kind of...
We've heard that about him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but don't look at me now. No cheating, no coaching, okay? Now, Here's the game. And this is a historic moment. You may never see this again, so you ought to watch carefully. This is an opportunity for you to actually get some money from a lawyer. Okay? And all you have to do, you cannot guess, okay? But you have to tell me, and it's Dusty?
Yep.
Yeah, no looking. Did you peek? Did you see? Okay, good. You have to tell me what denomination of bill I'm holding up in my hand, and if you tell me what it is, you can have it, okay? So this is a problem that you have to solve. Can you think of a way to solve this problem? We gotta speak loud. I'm half deaf, remember, so you gotta speak loud, okay?
Am I supposed to answer the question?
No, you're not. You're not playing. You're just there, okay?
Oh, do I get to answer questions or ask questions?
Bob didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, you good.
I said, what president is on it?
What?
President's picture's on it.
What picture's on it? No clues.
And I'm just a guess, reading some little messages.
Okay. Now it's time for a little confession here. Men have a lot bigger problem with this usually than women. And women, without saying anything, can any of you figure out how to solve this problem and get the money? Hold your hand up if you know how to do it. Okay. What about men? Any of you know how to do it? Well, it's not just a man thing, but it's a lot of man thing, okay? Okay, now Dusty, thank you for being, I'm not making fun of you, okay? It's us, okay? But there is a way for you to know what denomination bill I'm holding in my hand.
Without asking any questions.
No, you can ask. You just can't ask me.
Oh. All right, what president's picture's on it?
Well, you can't ask me.
I'm not gonna ask the group.
Who
I
you
asked
ask?
my partner, I thought.
There you go.
But I thought you said I'm not saying anything.
Man, I don't know what it is.
Just ask her what it is.
What bill is it?
You can ask a question.
Is she allowed to answer? She asked if she was allowed to answer and you said no.
Oh, maybe I screwed it up.
Oh.
I get to hear what
She
you
said, can I answer him? And you said no.
I did. That's wrong. Yes, you can answer. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's a 20. I was thinking 20 the whole time.
No, I got the wrong president then.
Is it higher than a 20?
She saw the whole thing,
She just asked her what it is.
Oh yeah, what bill is it?
10.
It's a 10. It's a 10.
What? Did you ask her? Because I didn't hear.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay. So you can tell her.
$10.
There you go. You win. Congratulations. Now the point is,
Shots are on.
And for everybody, it's Andrew Jackson, right?
the point,
Hi, guys.
I'm sorry if that came out awkward and I messed up the exercise, but that's okay. But the point is, there is incredible power in just having the courage to ask, okay? And it is a tragedy how seldom in life we have the courage to just flat out and straight out and very specifically and clearly ask for exactly what it is that we want. There's a whole book written about this if you want to read it. It's called The Aladdin Factor, Opening the Magic Doors by asking. And it's a tragedy. I mean, socially, there's help for you because the other thing I've discovered is if I'm going to ask you for something for me, that's much more difficult for me than if I'm going to ask you for something to help someone else, like the Boys and Girls Club. That's easier for me to do. Well, if that's easier for you to do, then get in the practice of doing that and it'll become easier to ask other things. But think about it. Socially, I could probably ask you, come and join my Rotary Club. I need you to help me next year. But can you pick me up at the airport next week when I get home from Australia because I don't have a ride? Man, that might be more difficult for me. socially, it's an incredible leadership superpower potentially that you have to ask for what you want. But beyond socially, it's one of the heartbreaking, marriage-destroying problems that we have in simple human relationships. You know, when you've never asked your spouse or your lover for exactly what it is that you want, and you're mad at them because you're not getting what you want, you kind of expect them to figure it out by ESP or something, you know, we have to have the courage to ask. And there's risk involved in that. It's risk of, if you make it up in your head that there's incredible pain involved in having someone say no, well, then there's going to be incredible pain. But most of that is just a story that you made up in your head. The real fact is, you make a request of someone, and they can either say yes, or they can decline and say no. And, you know, maybe they'll say some BS in between, but they can basically either say yes or say no, and they either said yes or they said no. And incredibly successful salespeople and people incredibly successful socially and as leaders, they ask, and they either get a yes or they get a no. And if they get a no, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Let go of it, move on. It's incredible. This is another gift I wanted to give you, okay? How many of you guys have seen the TV series Ted Lasso? Anybody? Yeah. Well, I keep hearing about it, and finally I watched it, and it's the most inspiring, funny, heartbreaking thing I've ever seen on TV. It's fantastic. I got back from Australia and I couldn't sleep because my biological clock was all screwed up, and I stayed up 3 or 4 nights and burned through the whole 3 seasons. But so a gift. Do whatever you have to do to get on Apple TV and watch the Ted Lasso series. And one of the things that Ted says, he's coaching one of his teammates, and then later he's coaching one of his kids, and he says, what's the happiest living creature on earth? And the guy says, I don't know. He says, it's a goldfish. He says, you know why? Because goldfish have the shortest memory of any living thing. Be a goldfish when you screw up, or be a goldfish when you make a request and someone says no. Forget it and move on. Have goldfish memory. I love that. So anyway, there's incredible power in asking. And when you ask, you want to be very specific about what it is, and you want to be very clear that it's a request. You don't want to dance around. We do so much dancing around asking. I have another exercise I do with the students, and I have them make a speech to imaginary bank officers and ask for a loan. And the last piece of the assignment is, once you make your presentation, then ask, will you loan me $500,000? Or will you loan me $50,000? And instead what I get is, that's why I'll be needing $50,000, or you know, $50,000 is what we're looking for, or you know, 1,000 different variations other than, so will you please loan me $50,000? And you got to understand, you rob yourself of your own power when you do all that milling about. If you can be very specific about exactly what it is that you want, people appreciate that. They admire you for the courage of it, and they appreciate it because it gives them a clear explanation of what they are to do next. They're either to say yes or they're to say no and decline. There's incredible power in asking. Now, just checking, thinking whether we have time to do this, and I think we do, so let's try it. Would like for you to get in pairs. Just, you can turn and face each other or whatever, but get in pairs, and then I want you to think for a minute about something that you need to ask someone for right now to move forward in one of the goals that you have, something you need to ask for. And I want you to practice asking. This is the imaginary person, you know, maybe it's your boss, you need a raise, maybe it's your spouse, you want a vacation, and maybe it's somebody else in leadership, Auburn, you want them to buy into your project. But whatever it is, think of a goal that you have right now and something that you need to ask someone for. And then, before you just ask, stop for a minute and say, well, okay, I'm not going to manipulate this person, but what's the most specific thing that I can say to make this request the most effective? I wanted to give you an example of that. I don't know whether, yeah. So I went to the board of Rotary a couple of weeks ago, and we have this thing where if every Rotarian donates $25 to the foundation, the International Foundation, each year, then we qualify for $2,000 of extra grant money for our charitable projects. And no one's ever done every Rotarian every year in our club of over 100 people. You know, it's like trying to herd cats to get everyone to donate. So I'm looking at that, and the gal that's doing the charity project needs the extra $2,000. And I went to the board and I said, here's what I want to do. We'll get everybody that wants to donate their $25. There'll be 10 or 15 people left that won't donate. And there's nothing in the rules that say you can't donate for them. I'll just write a check and for the rest, and then we'll have 100%. We'll get the grant money. So I went to the board and I asked them for that, and they said, well, it's a great idea, but we don't want you to do that. We want the club to have volunteers to come and do that. And I said, oh, that'd be great. I don't have to pay, but it'd be better for the club, for the spirit of the club, see? So my job was to go to the club and ask them to do this donation and tell them if we don't get everybody in, then we'll write some checks for the difference. And I did the ask, and it all worked out okay. It looks like we're going to make the goal. But I screwed up the ask because it had changed, you know, from morning board meeting to noon. My plan was I was going to say it this way, and I was going to say, some of you guys are retired, you're having a hard time with your business, you can't do the 25, and so we're going to do it for you. That's okay. Instead of saying that, I got confused because everything changed from morning to noon, and I said something like, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it now, and here's how we're going to do it. Everybody put in, and if we have anything different, we're going to write checks. And it just came out sounding awful. It still worked, but I was disappointed because I hadn't taken the time to carefully craft my answer and have notes. So I said everything that was important to me, like it's okay if you can't do this year. That would have made it more okay in my mind. So craft your answer. But I want you to take a minute now and someone go first and practice asking and see if you can actually say, you know, will you do this? Please do this for me. Or whether you're going to beat around the bush and say, well, we'll be needing $50,000, or it would be nice if we could get $50,000, or the hundreds of different beat around the bush things I get in the class. Okay, so I have a couple of minutes to do this, and I got an important thing to do at the end here to close this out. So go ahead and do this for a minute or two, and I'll have you switch. Okay, stop. Okay, how did it feel? Did it feel like you did a good you made a good, powerful request? You put yourself at risk? No?
I can't borrow $750,000.
I'm sorry.
But I asked.
All right, well, see? Now you got to do is ask a banker or an investor.
It out.
You're okay.
Personal loan.
Okay, Dusty needs $150,000. You guys
$750,000.
Huh?
Against the property.
$750?
$750.
Okay.
Jones sold.
All right.
And then you should follow up your question and then.
Okay. So,
Preferably zero interest if possible. For a long time.
so you know, I actually, I'm a little rusty. I'm a little rusty at doing this exercise because I'm not teaching at the college anymore. But usually before I have Dusty sit down, I ask a couple other questions before I let him figure out the problem. I say, now, if you do ask her, does that mean you're a weaker man in any way?
No, but I would prefer not to have to ask her. I'd much rather just write a check if possible.
Okay, well,
It's not happening for her.
okay, well then you're hard to work with, but that's okay. It doesn't really take anything away from you. It doesn't lessen you in any way to ask for help. It doesn't weaken you in any way. And then consider one other thing here, folks, and then we'll get off of this and move on. When he asks you, isn't it possible that sometimes he's doing you a favor by asking you? Do you sometimes feel empowered when somebody says, you have something I need? Do you sometimes enjoy being able to say yes, and does it lift you up to know you can help this person? Even when you're walking down the street and somebody stops and says, I'm lost, can you give me directions? Doesn't it kind of feel good inside if you know where to tell them where to go?
If I know.
Of course, there's that t-shirt. There's a t-shirt now that says, I often wonder what happened to people that ask me for directions. But that's a different story.
Oh.
So, yes.
Can I add really quickly, one of the things, what you're talking about is so important.
Yeah.
And as an extrovert extraordinaire, one of the things that I had to learn was, like you're saying, to craft the statement. And to, like, introverts are really good at being able to do that internally. As I speak, I'm still trying to understand what it is I actually want. So I have to have a dialogue with myself of what is it that I want, why do I want it, and what's the outcome that I'm hoping to gain from it, to actually put that together before I even open my mouth.
Brilliant.
Brene Brown, in her book, Dare to Lead, right? I know you read
Yeah.
that book. It's that clarity is kind, and unclear is not kind. And so if I'm still trying to figure out what the heck I want while I'm speaking to someone, I'm going to lose them. And the opportunity I have for them to say yes is going to completely diminish. And that's on me knowing myself as an extrovert.
That's beautiful. Thank you. That's really, and I think, for me, I was sitting there thinking, yeah, that's me too. I'm an extrovert, and I'm the bull in the china shop, and I'm always screwing up my asks. But I go back and forth, I think. I think most of us go back and forth. Some days I'm an extrovert, other days I'm a definite introvert. But on the days when you're being an extrovert, stop for a minute, take a breath and say, okay, how should I craft this request? Okay? Now, I still got a few minutes, and today I'm taking my few minutes. On the superpowers, we talked about the power of intention. We talked about the power of goal setting. We talked about the power of helping other people reach their goals. And we talked about the power of commitment. And finally, the power of asking. And those are all really incredibly wonderful superpowers for any leader. But of course, it's not all. And we're ending our class now, but here's the thing. You're going to spend the rest of I'm kind of envious, actually, because I'm near the end of my life, but you're going to spend the rest of your lives looking for what else goes on this list. And it'll be different for different ones of you because your style of leadership will be different. But the thing that fascinates me right now is the Ted Lasso thing. At one point during this 3 seasons of him coaching this soccer team, he says, here's our new strategy for how we're going to win games. It's a 4-part strategy. And he tells them, part 1 is this, part 2 is this, and part 3 is this. And the players all say, okay, so what's part 4? And he says, I have no idea. He says, we're going to find that and figure that out as we go through the season. It's going to pop up from somewhere. And he really doesn't know, but he's willing to leave it open. That's where you are right now. You got 5 or 6 superpowers here, and you're going to go through life looking for what else is there. When you look around at the people that are with you, working with you. I was thinking about it, and in here, there are people with fantastic qualities of character. And you've worked with them for a year now, and you know that. And so as a part of finishing this up, this is my request. Have a little bit of courage. Look around the room for a minute and pick 1 or 2 people that you have noticed something special about them that you admire so much that you want to emulate that in your leadership style. And then one or two or three or four of you, tell me what it is. Tell me who the person is and what is the quality of character they have that has inspired you during this year. Yes, ma'am.
Jay, I would say, is somebody that inspires me because he's very different than I am. And he has this like back of the room approach, but he's taking everything in. He's very mindful about everything. Is what I gather, and I just have enjoyed that calm and peace that he brings to our group.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Certainly there's somebody else. Yes.
I would say DJ. At first I thought he was gonna be loud and scary to work with, and I ended up finding out that he's very accountable, a good friend, and a great leader.
Thank you. Thank you. Somebody else had their hand up.
Yeah, I could say something about everybody because it's so fun. But I'm going to say, it is, it's very cool. But I'm going to say that I have gotten to know Steph this year. And I know, right? And I have to say, one of the things I love most about Steph is that she's not afraid to say what she thinks. And she says it out loud. And I value and appreciate that so much, because it seems like too many people are so worried about saying what they think. And I love hearing it. Never stop. I love that.
Hashtag no filter.
Beautiful.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Oh yeah, love the no filter. Please.
Yeah. So there's absolute treasure in this room. Yes, ma'am.
So J. Ross is not here, and like Catherine, I could say something about everybody in this room. You guys are all, you're unique leaders in your own way, and it fucking works rad for you guys. And I'm a aggressively helpful leader. But that J. Ross, she's so freaking happy all the time.
Right?
And she's so positive. She makes you excited, like genuinely excited, which is hard to get to this crusty heart and mind. But that kid did. And there is something unique about that little witch. And I look forward to watching her grow. Because she's young. She's what? 30?
She just had her birthday.
Yeah, I mean, she's a baby.
If we could just bottle and sell that happiness, though,
Right?
I'd buy it.
She's just, I don't know. Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. The absolute treasure. What's some more treasure in this room?
So I would like to say how much I admire Lindsay. You are very soft-spoken, but when you open your mouth, you command the room. You have great impact when you speak. I feel your energy and your passion. And a lot of us in this room are very loud when, we're used to getting our way and charging in and, bull in the china shop. And you have that presence about you that doesn't require it, and I respect and admire that.
For sure.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Mine is Tyler. I love your tenacity. I love that you're a risk taker. You and I were out there doing our road show, and you were just like asking people for money, and we didn't care. It was awesome. And you're just, I love your energy, and you're really driven. Very passionate.
Beautiful. Thank you. Can I have one more, please? This is my treasure. I'm going to take in my heart, and I'll see you guys tonight, most of you, but this I'll keep forever. God bless you. Thank you. Anybody else just dying to go? Okay. One last thing. Did you notice how different admirable leadership qualities can be? One was outspoken, and the other one was quiet. And it takes all of us. It takes all the different leadership styles. So while you're out there searching for your Ted Lasso number 4, notice that other people's Ted Lasso number 4 may be different from yours, and honor and respect them too. Seriously, you guys have been absolutely the most inspiring and fun group I've ever worked for. I'll see it tonight, but bless you all and have a wonderful day.